All right, and hello, welcome to Race Brain Podcast. My name is Rich Ryan, joined by Brakken Kraker and Jack Bauer. Super special episode today. This is our third or fourth installment. The fourth annual OCR Awards, the OCRAs, about to go down. We are in our finest attire. BK is sweating through that jacket. Jack had to take his off. He's all buttoned up. I wanted to show up like it was like the last hour of a wedding in my 20s. That's how I wanted
Between
to
the
look
three
at
of
that.
us, we have a full outfit.
Yeah. Rich has a collar.
20s, Rich.
Yeah.
Isn't that? Would you say that's how you end a wedding now?
I'm in bed. I don't make it to the end of a
Okay.
wedding now. I'm just like,
Was
why are
Kirk's our
people-
last wedding? We've all just like made it pretty much to the end of. It's an early
Yeah.
night.
That was an early one. Yeah, that wasn't.
And that was like 10 o'clock getting dinner at some place or snacks at some bar afterwards. Yeah. Wasn't even late.
No, it wasn't late. But yeah, I don't know. No, I don't. I think that's fair. So we are here to recap the OCR season. We're going to hand out some awards. This is a very fun episode that we look forward to. We're actually going to be separating out the hybrid awards. We don't have a name for the hybrid awards, and bringing in Matt Mason for a second episode. And an announcement here: we are going to spin off the HYROX Show onto its own feed. So if you want to catch the hybrid awards for the year, make sure you subscribe to HYROX Race Brain HYROX Rundown, I believe is the official name we're going with. So that will be available wherever you get podcasts. Make sure you subscribe so you can get all the latest on the HYROX stuff, and you can catch the hybrid awards, which you don't have a name for. We'll talk about it live in an hour or so.
Just get me a rundown, Jack. Get me a rundown.
A rundown?
Yeah.
The Roxies. There we go. There's my idea. I like the Okras.
Roxies.
We're just going to do every single award show is just the Okras.
Okras is just perfect, but if
Yeah,
it's not
It
OCR, I
makes
don't know.
sense. Doesn't matter. Yeah.
So we have a handful of awards that we're going to dish out today, finishing with OCR Athlete of the Year. And we're going to start off with the OCR Performance of the Year. We're separating this male and female awards. So the best single performance out of an athlete at an OCR event. Who wants to go first?
Wheel of names will decide who goes first.
That's a great question. That's a great question. So
It's a great question.
great question for me.
Yeah.
What am I doing? And we have lost some awards. We split off the international. Last year we did like international and domestic.
North American.
No need for that this year. And
Because
Well-
does OCR even exist outside of international?
exactly.
Not exactly.
That is where we are. So everything is international here. What else did we scratch? Or we added moment of the year, mostly because I just have like a great name for it that I want to roll out to you all.
Okay.
So that's the main
Let's
reason
do
why
it.
we're doing that. Another thing that we want to make sure we are tuning in for, that we need to make sure we follow up on from previous years, is Goofy Games of the Year. We didn't touch on in our group chat, and Goofy Games Athlete of the Year. This is a discussion that we have to have. We'll have
What
it on
goof-
both shows.
What Goofy Games events have taken place this year? That was a struggle.
It
Are we
will
just
be
giving
a-
it to? Are we just nominating Jarrett Newby no matter what? Like he is
Wait,
gonna
Jar-
win.
We're all
Like, here you
yes.
go. Take your award, Chris. Here's your award. Like it's perpetual.
Truly, that is all I wanted to talk about, was to give Jared Newby his flowers.
Yeah, he's the first award winner this year.
Oh, and Jack, congratulations on fantasy. We're not here to talk about fantasy football, but congratulations.
I did okay. And Bracken, you ran your sub 5 and dunked again. Like it's been good past couple days.
We salvaged a year right at the very
Yeah.
end.
Let's spin this wheel. This is for who's going first. Of
Totally gonna
our
be Bracken.
take. This isn't. It's,
Yeah.
it's an advantage. to
Thank
go
the
first
Lord.
with
I have
these
one
things.
thing on my list.
All right, hold on. I'm just going to do this for the sake of the spin, and then this will just kind of set the order. Oh, Lord. We might need to reach out to a Patreon. And we did send this out to our Patreon members to help us with the nominees here. So we have some feedback from them. And there was actually some really good ones that was a great reminder for what was going on for the season. All right. BK, what was your moment or performance of the year? I'm sorry, for OCR athletes.
My performance of the year is Alyssa Petrova in Alula.
Yeah.
I think that if we had to go back in time and draft again, I still don't know if we would have picked her to win overall. It's just such a beatdown. It was such a win over such a class field that it signaled like a paradigm shift in the power of female OCR in this sport right now. Like she had not ever been in the talks of the greatest currently in the sport, and suddenly we're like, oh my goodness, it was just huge. This could be upset of the year, this could be performance of the year, this could be a lot of things, but Alyssa in Alula was just outrageously good.
Her resume is getting impressive. And I know that like Lindsay was in the race. Yes, she was a couple months pregnant or something at that time.
You show up, you show up.
But she still got fifth. Like she's still fit. Nicole was in the race. She ended up passing her. Esther was in the race, and she previously won the Beast in Sand the year before. You had arguably the best of the modern generation all there, and Elisa took all of them down.
Yeah.
That was certainly the most anticipated event of the year if we had an OCRA for that. Also, could have very well been the biggest letdown from a fandom perspective of the year award. Alula wins a bunch of those. That happened when? That was early, right? February?
February. Yep.
So that was very early in the season. Remember, there's going to be a conflict for this Alula event
With
for the
Jacksonville.
first
Yeah.
Spartan race in Jacksonville. And the field was incredibly loaded. Athletes from all different kind of sides of OCR were stepping to this because the money was so big. We didn't really know what it was going to be like. And the distance was something that we haven't really seen. 8 hours max distance, more or less, right?
Yeah.
So it was really interesting to kind of talk about and see who was going to do well in that. And Alyssa coming out on top there was, yeah, I think you could put that for upset of the year as well. But it certainly fits with this performance of the year. When the stakes are really the highest, her coming out here and at Worlds, right? Like at Abu Dhabi. I mean, she's just the queen of the sand, queen of the sand.
Yep. Undeniable.
I like it.
Yeah.
So are we going to do all female?
Yeah, let's do all female, all male. We got rid of a couple, groups and then combine them into one for athlete of the year, for instance.
All right. BK, you have like 5 minutes to figure out a male one.
Yep. Okay. My performance of the year on the women's side is Ulrika Evensen winning double first at the FISO World Championship, where you had Elisa Petrova, you had Nicole, you had several of the best athletes from around the world. Even though there wasn't prize money, the athletes still showed up. This is in Costa Rica. She traveled overseas. She didn't have that home field advantage like Elisa had. And I don't think many people expected her to get one win, never mind two. And then she followed that up. I don't know if it was like just before or just after, but with the Morzine Ultra, like that was Ulrika's month. She was unbeatable from 3K to Ultra Beast in the mountains. That was a very impressive performance.
That the FISO event this year in the year, well, the previous year was pretty much the event of the year. So there was pretty high expectations for what it was going to be like this year as well. And the field was really strong. And that seems to be an event that we can kind of mark on our calendars for one of the actual championships potentially going forward. So for her to step up like this and really have a monster weekend, because she did really well in that, you said in the 50K, right? She won that as well.
Oh, for Morzine, the Ultra Beast World Champ? Yeah.
It was only like a month prior.
She was on a heater.
Yeah.
It was like a heater that we haven't seen really in OCR. And like usually it's the best athlete just wins all year. But there were some ups and downs this year on the female side in particular. And Ulrika like ascended to the top of the Power 11 for sure for a short amount of time.
Yep.
And was just on an all-time heater here. And FISO was one of the events that was certainly a highlight for the season.
You can pop an ultra, like people can cramp, or you can just be real fit or prepared for that terrain. Like you can pull an upset in a OCR ultra, but winning both at a world championship, you can't fluke your way into that. You just have to be really locked in, and you need some versatility there to win both distances. You can't really explain that one away. Now you combine all three, and that moment might have been like the best month moment of the year, but
yeah.
And
if we're looking at the list of athletes who have won a 3K through Ultra at a major event, like Ulrika's on the list now. It's been John Albin, Ryan Atkins, Lindsay Webster. Nicole really didn't go into ultra until Alula. There aren't too many who have had that type of versatility. So what she did was super impressive.
I'm going to nominate Nicole Miracle for her championship win at the sprint in Havar. She was kind of having after FISO, it was kind of like, does she still have that juice? Or is everybody caught up to where her high end is currently? But she came out and showed at I would say, I don't know. Do you think Havar was more competitive or Abu Dhabi?
Probably Havar.
Probably Havar.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
you don't have the runaways in a sprint either. So like she had to battle from the start instead of I'm just fitter than you and I can last longer.
She can swim, I guess.
Yeah. So can you.
I can swim too.
Yeah.
You don't want to see me in Havar. So that was a statement win, and that kind of put her on a really good trend for that season. This was after OCR WC.
Yeah, like maybe a week or two later. It was mid-October.
Right. Yeah. So that was when she was cranking in some really good form. Beat a really, really strong field at Havar.
Can't disagree. I actually have written down my second female is just Nicole margin of victory. Hate to play into Jack's hands, but just she put some all-time gaps on people this year. Now you can point to strength of field for some of these races, and you chose the strongest strength of field race, so I think that balances it out. But when she wasn't getting beat, she was as good as we've ever seen anyone be.
She's like at a high school cross country meet.
Yeah,
like a dual meet. Just
Seidel in high school or any one of those studs just crushes everyone.
30 seconds off the line, she already has a gap, and you're like, well, there are levels to this race.
Yeah, we were back to talking about is it time to just let her run with the men kind of thing. Like there was nothing for her, and her championship proved it.
All right, who do we like?
I think performance of the year. I like my pick, Ulrika.
The thing with Ulrika is that it was like 2 performances.
Fair.
So if we're talking one performance, I'm gonna go Alyssa on this one.
I am as well. I have Ulrika penciled in for some other awards, so she's not going home empty-handed this year.
Alyssa might be like Taylor Swift at the Grammys after this week. She might just clean up.
Listen, I'm going to let you finish in a bit. But the greatest performance of all time.
I believe that was an MTV award. So that was a VMA. All right. So let's go. The check is in the mail. Be on the lookout. Yep. All right. So for the men, Jack, what was your performance of the year?
For the men, I don't want to take the easy way out, but like what John Albin did in Alula was so impressive without touching obstacle racing since when 2021 Abu Dhabi. He did the first year there, ended up getting 3rd place. What he did, just taking down everybody. Like I know it was a simplified race; it wasn't the hardest obstacles, but if he stuck around OCR over the past couple of years, or probably like 5 years since he kind of left originally, with his fitness and what he's done in the trail running world, he hasn't lost a step. He's gained steps. He was on another level, unbeatable that day. I think he won by half an hour, something like that, and over Botras, who's excellent in the sand, Ryan Atkins, who's the GOAT when it comes to OCR ultras. That performance was ridiculous.
That was something where he comes in and it's almost like, do we want him to win this event or do we want to keep it more in-house? And he shows up and it just cleans everyone's clock. And it was the greatest field ever assembled, potentially, right? Like if we could debate the greatest field ever assembled, that's top 3.
Greatest international, like not on U.S. soil. I would say it's got to be in
even so.
Yeah, in the discussion. Yeah,
in the discussion, and Albin just murders everybody.
Yeah,
and there was talk beforehand. Is there has he done enough obstacles? Has he lost? No, he just stepped in and he reminded everyone, listen, Daddy's home and I'm not here for a long time, but you're going to remember this feeling long after I'm gone. It's just pop in, crush everyone in the world, pop back out and remind everyone that I've spent the last 4 years working on the single most important skills of this, which is long distance, technical terrain, mountain racing. And now I'm better than I used to be. And I don't need to do a ton of obstacle work because I can just crush you all at the things you like to do.
We've seen him have trouble at a longer distance world, a Tough Mudder at like a WTM, right? But this distance is just from what he's doing in his training currently in racing. It's like not a stretch, really. Maybe it's a little long, but not like that much. He was just built to murder everybody.
Yeah.
Yeah. Rich, your point about like, did we want him to come in sort of as an outsider? It's funny because he has such an impressive OCR resume, but this is almost like when Hunter went to the CrossFit Games and you're like, well, let's go OCR guy. We're cheering for you because like you're one of us. It's like Albin isn't one of us anymore because he's been removed for so long. But then he reminded us he's arguably the GOAT when it comes to OCR.
That he's not one of us. He's better than us.
Yeah.
That's why he does not do this sport anymore.
His career arc is fascinating. He was a non-runner who found running in obstacle racing, but really was like a fell running obstacler who became the best mountain runner in the sport and is now a pro runner. It's crazy.
So I like it.
It wasn't an upset. It wasn't like something we've never seen before. It was just a blatant slap in the face to everyone who thought, well, maybe I can do this. And I was like, no, I'm just still the one.
He reminded everyone.
It was biggest statement of the year. And for that, I think it deserves performance of the year.
Oh, hold on. Oh,
Rich has a comeback. Let's go.
I'm going to nominate Michael Schultz for matching the record at WTM, 115 miles. I mean, this was a favorable course in terms of just like temperature. But when Botchers did it, it wasn't like a super cold. That was a really dry kind of course, like very runnable. So this is an all-time performance that we saw from someone at World's Toughest this year. And when we looked at the field, we were kind of like, do we care about what happens here?
We skipped the draft. We didn't even do it.
We didn't even draft. Yeah. So that's my nomination.
The man took like a 3-hour nap the year before and still ended up making the podium. And he learned from his mistakes and say what you want. 115 miles in one day with all those obstacles. He's still getting wet. He's still running on crappy terrain. He's still got to navigate this overnight, manage his fuel, not fall apart, going out at an unreasonable pace. That was ridiculous what he did.
Yeah. It's hard to even comprehend, especially since he hadn't shown anything prior that got on people's radar. Like, this guy is going to be a problem at World's Toughest. Like, we knew Botchers when he was coming through. If he can handle the demands of this, like, he's set up to do this kind of thing. Well, you knew Atkins was going to be an issue. You knew like the people in the sport were going to be really. He just kind of came out and put up arguably the best performance of all time without a lot of indication other than the glimpse we saw the year before.
BK.
Well, you've taken all the good ones, and it's cheap to say Basilical every single time you raced. So
I had him.
Just going, and I have them written down, but I can't choose which one of his I think is his performance of the year. And so I'm going to be a homer, and I'm going to say Hawk Call.
Nice.
In the mountains of Big Bear. I think.
Yeah,
Utah.
Big Bear.
Utah, Big Bear.
Untouchable that day.
Yeah. Big
Bear. Both? Was it Big Bear or Utah, Jack? Where Utah
he did both of them, but I think
Bear.
Big Bear was a better like, you didn't stand a chance.
Because we got the litmus test kind of Chris Bob Brown, patron saint of the OCRAs.
Wild card.
And he just was, he visually looked like we've seen very few people ever look in a race. You get to talk about the Albins or the Hobies or the Codys, where they're just doing something. You're looking and saying, no one ever has moved that way through these terrains. And the downside of Big Bear is they go there every single year. And the upside is we've got to see people every single year run these hills, and no one's ever done it the way he did it. So yes, it wasn't the field that we've seen in the past, but it doesn't matter. We've seen the fields in the past, and no one ever looked the way he looked up those hills. No one in the history of our sport has run up Big Bear the way he pranced and accelerated up Big Bear.
Big Bear is noteworthy because that was when Johnny Lima had his massive breakout, and he ended up winning the national series race because of his downhill ability. Hawk did the opposite. He's a fantastic downhiller. Johnny's great at uphill, but their primary skill sets are opposite of each other. And what Hawk did, I would say, is right on par with what Johnny's downhill is. Which would you say is more impressive?
Johnny's downhill is more impressive.
Downhill's always gonna be more impressive.
But
which is a
Hawk's
bigger
downhill
wedge?
is closer to Johnny's downhill than Johnny's uphill at that time is to current Hawk Call's uphill. It was a net better performance by Hawk. It was a more spectacular, like, oh my God, I've never seen anything like this with his descents. But at the same time, it's less sexy running uphill, but we still haven't seen anything like that on this course.
Who do we like?
I vote John.
I like Albin too.
Albin again, yeah.
All right, clean sweep.
Welcome back, buddy.
One and done. Gets an okra for his efforts.
Yep.
Check's in the mail. He's not gonna get the check. He's not even gonna be expecting it. He's gonna look at it and throw it in the trash because it's not gonna be
OCR money.
not gonna be worth it. Yeah.
Double dipping on Alula money this year.
That's the thing. We are going to say the check's in the mail, but we're actually not really. We're really not paying. In the spirit of OCR, we're not going to pay anything.
No.
Yeah. You'll get it in like a couple years, maybe.
But we will advertise it.
Albin sat everyone down. I agree.
He bent everyone over.
This one I
Let's be
disagree
real.
with.
Nick's only saying that because he messaged me yesterday that when he opened my story, he thought it was him. So he's really self-flagellating here.
Wow. Brakken, you got a little facial hair going on also. Look at that.
Yeah, this is flu beard.
Okay.
It looks good. You got a little gray,
Yeah,
going on mine too.
Oh yeah, we got the gray.
Are you gonna let it get a little thicker? Just go the bald, thick beard look?
I can't. I don't think thickness is an option.
Okay.
Well, go chin strap.
Longer maybe is an
Don't
option, but what you're seeing is what you're gonna get here.
Yeah.
No, Riker definitely can't dunk though. Riker can, and like Riker has a streak of sub 5 downhill mile and
I was gonna say downhill.
Dunk on 9-foot rim.
Yeah.
But shout out to Riker. I got a taste of his life these last 4 days of just being tethered by liquid to the toilet. And for this man to have trained and accomplished the fitness and the racing that he has done with ulcerative colitis does deserve an okra. Now he's not going to digest it well and it's going to come out nasty, but he deserves an okra for me for that. An honorary okra. I'm going
to nominate and select anybody else for this award that you're nominating for.
Training through disability. Nick Riker.
No.
Which one?
No. He's popping off in the comments. I'm not going to share any of the comments. All right. So this is moment of the year, a new award. This is called this is called the I Don't Wipe My Butt Cheeks Jack Award for best moment of the year.
I wipe them.
You wipe your butt cheeks?
No, not the cheeks. I properly go to the bathroom.
I don't wipe my butt cheeks Jack Award.
I don't know where that came from, but sure.
You don't remember
that?
Are you serious?
This could have been moment of the year.
It was the moment of the year.
Yeah.
When Jack's we're talking about ear hygiene, about Jack's over here getting the rims of his ears, the top flaps with a Q-tip. And then he's explaining to BK how that works. And BK's like, listen, I don't wipe my butt cheeks. Jack's like, I don't know what you're talking about.
Yeah.
I thought I'd be due stand up in LA by this point. I thought that clip was going viral. I thought I had it made. Good. I bought this jacket.
That was pretty good.
Looking good.
All right. We're popping off. This is great.
Okay. That was pretty close to what Brakken said. I'm borrowing my brother's clothes. I forgot to pack.
But you have the same one. I'll just be like, you don't know what color the tie that is. All right, I'm going first. So moment of the year for me was the influencer flash mob at FISO.
Yeah.
I didn't have that on my list.
Greatest thing that happened all year in OCR.
I'm proud of you for remembering that.
I had that as my controversy of the year, first one. But this is a better pick. Go on, Rich.
Of the year.
Yeah.
All right.
What happened?
I don't know. Some YouTuber in Costa Rica, is that where everything was? It was like, hey, let's just go crazy out this. Kevin Donahue was giving us the play-by-play. It was I was like, what is happening? But it was just nonsense that we brought this event to Costa Rica, and they're like, we don't care about this. We care about this YouTuber more.
Yep. It's like the
So that's my
the
moment of
night,
the year.
it's like the night before the 3K or something, and then 4 p.m. just thousands, literally thousands of people descended on an obstacle, and some influencer decided to have a pull-up contest with himself on that, and just they ripped the tape, they destroyed the court. It was very characteristic of what the 2024 OCR season has been all about.
Mm-hmm. What do you guys got?
Fantastic pick, Brakken. Or am I up? No, it's Brakken.
BK's up.
Sarcastic moment of the year?
No. Can be.
60, 80, 100-meter dash world championships.
What
All
are
of
the
them.
across every platform, every company was like,
indelible in my mind. Who has forgotten the momentous occurrence of any one of those sprint world championships?
It's like, we're
My
turning
goodness,
this ship
the
around.
names are going to echo through the halls of eternity.
We're turning the ship around. We got a great idea. Easy Ninja Warrior. What does everyone think? I guess.
Yep. My moment is Spartan gets rid of the 3K after a year. It's like, let's spend all this time promoting it. Huh?
Oh, this is our sarcastic moment.
Sarcastic? Oh no, okay, that's not good.
That's not sarcastic.
You're serious?
Wins.
That's your favorite moment of the year?
No. Like
okay.
it has some sarcasm into it. Like I think it's a bummer, but it's like, why would you spend all this time and effort putting in a 3K and then the next year you scrap it and then revert to the all races are mandatory, and by the way, you can't make the first one because everyone else is at a different race within our own company. Like it was very terrible planning in my opinion.
Okay. Well, my real moment of the year is Nicole and Susanna on rigs.
Mm.
Those we've been
sounds
getting
plural to me.
Yeah. Yep. And I mean, pick your poison. We get, and maybe, I mean, the first one was probably more exciting. The second one was just like, we get to see it again. How crazy is it that it's happening again? But we got close finishes out of women's championships for first place. We get that for second or third, fourth sometimes. We don't get that for first place at world championships, especially for Spartan race. And we did. And for me, that's moment of the year. We got to see a race to the finish. When's the last time we saw a women's world championship Spartan race come down to the rig for first place?
Like world champs. We had Nicole and Lindsay at OCR Worlds 3K the year before.
Spartan. Yeah. So that's my moment of the year.
Lindsay and Annie, but that in Asheville, but that wasn't a world champs. So yeah.
No, they're runaway, just train wrecks generally.
Walk across the line type of deal.
Yeah.
Yep.
We had a Patreon submission for Leon winning the 3K. People happy to see our guy come through with a world championship. And that was, he wears his heart in his sleeve. So he's an emotional little guy. So that's a good moment.
All right. Another moment. I think just shout out to the camera crew and Abu Dhabi, just letting us see Gregory Basilico do what he does best. Like just watching him. That was our big takeaway, just how unbeatable he was on that type of terrain with his running. And I just think we rarely get to see an athlete in motion like that. And it was fun to watch.
Agreed. How about this one? Spartan Pace winners, some of them from some timeline. That's not a bad one. Yeah. All right. Who wins?
Rich, you win that one, hands down.
Yeah. Flash mob.
Nothing is competing with flash mob. Yeah.
That was the first thing that came to mind. I was like, what's the most memorable thing that happened? It's like, oh yeah, remember when all those people ran on that course at that random race? And
you think if we tag that guy and tell him we won an Okra, he'll promote our show?
Yeah, maybe. I mean, we'll get some lots of people
followers
locked in.
A lot of people asking. Yeah.
A lot of people asking. Checks in the mail to that YouTuber. Probably also won't check it. We're gonna say we're gonna pay, not actually gonna pay.
Yeah.
Where are we now? Upset of the year. We're gonna do this combined. This is not a male and female. This is just upset of the year for any races all across the board.
All right. Single gender, you said?
Yes.
So my upset of the year is Ryan Atkins runs 2 separate ultra OCR events and doesn't win either of them. When you think about it, like John Albin, he was the best man that day. But then Albin came back unexpectedly to World's Toughest Mudder.
I forgot.
He'd been putting in the work and then he had an ankle injury or something. That happens. But prior to that point, I don't think that he ever lost an ultra OCR.
No, had not. And I think it's a phenomenal submission, but we spend all year being probably 80-20 negative positive. I refused to muddy the waters on anyone but Spartan during the OCRAs. Ryan Atkins cannot catch strays during this. The upset of the year has to be a person, not the person it happened to.
Yeah.
And so even though it's a great talking point, I agree with it. It was historic. I cannot support it.
Thumbs down from BK.
Yeah, thumbs down.
Nice,
for
nice
Brakken.
try. I'm gonna
Let's hear your crappy pick, Brakken. Or Ritz is up.
I'm up. I'm gonna nominate. This is kind of cheating, but I'm gonna nominate Alyssa Petrova here for Alula.
Yeah,
because I mean we talked about it in terms of performance. It could also fit into upset. Again, T Swift of this year's OCRAs, but we covered it all. It was just not someone we would have picked.
Yeah,
I mean, if you look at her track record and the fellow contenders in that race, not too many of them actually had run an ultra before. So it was uncharted waters for a lot of them, and she had the home field advantage. She didn't have to fly across the world. I feel like in hindsight, it was actually a little bit more favorable for her to do well than we expected.
Yeah.
I mean, now that
And
she's
so-
like the world champion, but let me try to find.
Well, she had like 3 world championship podiums the past 3 years in Abu Dhabi. We knew she could run in the sand well.
You're both right, but I'll just solve it for you. The upset of the year is Ulrike at FISO. That we said it before. You said it, Jack. Not a lot of people had tested the waters at that distance. Not a lot of people had tested the sand at that distance. You can pop an ultra by simply not fading when other people fade. Nicole won that race and then she gave it away. She went hard. She cramped.
6-hour race, she wins it.
Yeah. You cannot fake your way to both distances at FISO against people who are all favored to beat you. And she did. And that's upset of the year.
Let me just give you some names really quick, because now Jack's like, oh, it really shouldn't be that big of a deal.
Yeah.
Names that she beat: Nicole Miracle, Esther Horta-Bagiova, Lindsay Webster.
We're
Ulrike
talking
Evanson,
Elisa, not Ulrike's win.
Elisa,
Okay.
yes. I'm
Yeah.
still, I didn't listen to anything Brakken said.
Okay.
Chris Rogloski, we forgot that she was there. Katie
yeah.
Knight was there. Like, these are,
That's the who's who.
yes, these are all absurd
Sabrina
names.
D'Aolio is also in the top 10. She
Right,
just
this
got
was-
second at trifectas.
Yeah, so Petra Arvella, really, really good names here. So, like, I think if we put this back and had to pick again, I might not even pick Alyssa already knowing that the outcome would be. Like, I don't know. I mean, Chris is in this race. It's bad. Lindsay's in this
And
race.
that's the number one I had on my list. But you took it.
I took it.
I'm happy with either or. Ulrike was more surprising to me that she did
Yes.
both. But just against those names, how do you beat the greatest of all your era? Like, you're not missing many even people from the era. You're really missing people who could still do it and be a factor there. Maybe Rhea.
Yeah.
Mm.
Susanna, maybe, but we don't know. We've seen her in Spartan Ultra. We haven't seen her in like Ultra.
Mhm.
So like maybe 2 people. She dusted everyone.
The only thing against Ulrike that I can think of is, wasn't there that controversy where a couple of the people went off? I think maybe Nicole and Elisa like went off course at one point, and then they came, or there was an obstacle that was closed. There's some controversy with that.
I
that
had this
resulted in-
for,
yeah.
this could have been moment or for controversy. I don't have a controversy down, but maybe we could talk about that next. We'll talk about that next.
Yeah. We can't put an asterisk on something that doesn't have an asterisk on it for performance, for upset, for those things. So we have to take it in a vacuum. I do vote Elisa.
I'm going to too. I mean, it's just crazy. Looking back at those names again, because I forgot Chris was there. I forgot Katie Knight was there. I forgot Lindsay ran. I thought I just like remembered her beating Nicole.
Yeah.
But all these other names are amazing. So
Her race was with Nicole, but that's because she was ahead of all the other people.
Yeah. I
Yeah.
mean, when we talk about
Crazy.
the all-time rankings, which we'll do, I guess, next week, Alyssa's going to shoot up there because of this year, because of like,
totally.
this event and because of Abu Dhabi. But at
She's
the
going to put herself
time-
onto Mount Rushmore.
right.
She,
Like,
she
this would be-
legitimately has a solid argument to end up there.
Yeah.
Like if this was so before this, and say Annie Doobie didn't get like injured, she could very well have a pretty similar resume. It'd be like if Annie won this race,
Mhm.
which would be like that's amazing and she's great, but would we pick it? You know, because it's how I'm looking at it.
Yeah.
She wins again. 2 awards, double checks. Double checks. We
Crazy.
only have one check per person.
Yeah.
All right, let's do controversy real quick. I didn't want to do this at all, just because they're just so easy to talk about, and we get stuck on this sometimes. But this is just going to be in good fun, right?
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We don't mean
Yeah.
this. Spartan.
Good fun stuff. Am I up or no? I'm up, right?
You started with
Go for it, Rich.
No,
you want to pop off? Pop.
Yeah.
I'm popping off. No, it was Jack.
Yeah.
It was Jack bashing on the GOAT. He started last.
It was an
That's
upset.
right. Jack
That's
could
an upset.
not wait to get Ryan's
Yeah.
name in his mouth.
Had to.
I'm
I
gonna
thought
go.
he wins the men's category. There we go.
I'm gonna go with the 3-way tie.
I forgot about that too.
Wasn't that in FISA? Wasn't that what happened?
Oh
But-
yeah.
That was one of the championships.
That
like,
was
it
what I was
like-
just
snip,
referring
snap.
to with the skipping an opposite. Okay,
Yeah.
that is so bad.
And like they're like,
So
3-way
bad.
tie, and then like I don't know. I think people were like refusing to say it wasn't a tie after the fact, and that's just like an amazing way to. That's just such an OCR thing. We're like, we don't know. We just dished out some penalties. We're not really sure what happened. There was unforeseen stuff. 3-way tie.
I'm gonna,
So
I'm gonna
that's-
have to look up like some commentary on this. Just
That was just something that came in my brain. I was like, I could look
So
into this
bad.
more, or I could just like completely never think about it again until the OCRAs. And I,
You know, they
I
say
executed.
tying is like kissing your sister. What's a 3-way tie? It's not better.
Definitely not better.
Got twin sisters. Nobody wants that.
That's not.
They
good.
shouldn't. No, a tie is never satisfying in sport. No fans like, oh, I hope we get a tie today.
Yeah.
I'm here for the
Outcome.
tie. and they said let's triple it.
They did clear that up, right? But for them to even like,
Well,
right? Didn't they? Jack,
They
Jack,
tripped
you
I-
on?
and
I'm
fell
looking
into.
everywhere. I can't find a recap on.
they had already had podiums and Instagram posts about the 3-way tie before undoing anything. It's on the internets forever.
Yeah. So that's mine.
The menage a tie.
BK.
That's fantastic.
Well, mine's equally farcical, but much more sad. The firing of Steve Hammond.
Mm.
From every level of it. The fact that it happened. You took one of the only relatable, universally beloved pieces of Spartan race, and you threw it in the trash. And then the person who threw it in the trash put in their 2 weeks notice that week. And then Joe became aware of this and didn't undo it. He's like, hey, what's done is done. I mean, he's been let go. I stand by that decision. What? All of it. It could have easily been undone. Like, hey, he fired you and then quit. I think we're just going to say it never happened. Welcome back. Here's a pay raise. We love you. None of that's going to happen. Just the entire thing of Steve Hammond being let go is my controversy of the year.
Yeah, that was pretty insane. That was a big time bummer. As when things are just, it's just mostly decisions that are made that are just upsetting and showing that the value that they have in this sport is just, it just gets worse and worse and worse. This was kind of like the icing. It's like, okay, the one person who cares, you're just going to get him out of here. Then like the one, like, I don't know if it was always this way, but basically the remaining person that had like respect from the field of athletes too. Now it's just, we don't know who there is to look to for help or answers or to kind of lead the way for us as athletes. Just hit the road. And now that was really the last piece of it. It's like, okay, this is just done.
Yeah, I've spent a lot of time with Steve when I was doing the rabbiting. Just like the guy stays so late at all these courses. Just he's there watching the last person come in, picking up after them. Doesn't matter if you're on the elite side, the open heats. He's universally respected, and people go out of their way to see him at a race. And I know there are a lot more people who do the job. Like he gets a lot of credit for setting up courses. There are plenty of others who do the same thing, but he's so passionate about OCR and knows what actually matters for a lot of these athletes. Like he was in charge of the elite series trying to do something creative with the 3K the year before. Like he was put in that type of position, and just to see him go away, like that was that was like all the air got let out of the balloon, and it was very a deflating moment for the sport. And then look what happened the rest of the season. There wasn't much of one.
Well, everything we could have ever nominated Spartan for in this category in the past, you could have people on either side of the coin, from Trustgate to Watson, Coble, going to Abu Dhabi. 3K series is happening. 3K series is no longer happening. People argued for or against on either side. Sometimes the majority were on one side. There is not one person who looked at this and could come up with like yeah, I can see why. Well, let's keep in mind, there's none of that. It was universally understood that this was a mistake and it undermined Spartan's credibility, and everyone wanted Steve back. And there was no fixing it. So it's just like, it's beyond comprehension that he's gone.
Jack, what do you got?
All right, my controversy of the year is Yesida Hare getting second place in the FISO 3K by 6 seconds, and he was in the second heat. This guy is a former multiple-time European champion. He literally won the 14K the next day. Like, there is no reason that guy shouldn't be with the best of the best.
I have a reason.
Yeah.
No, only one person per country should be in the first heat.
Oh, that makes sense. Yeah, don't let the best athletes. You're already tapped out, Netherlands. So yeah,
you get one.
There's an easy fix to this, and it's boobs. Bauer's objective obstacle-based system. If they had always the ranking,
yeah,
it's fixed.
I agree.
Mm-hmm.
What are we picking?
Man, Brakken's was just depressing.
I know. Now the show sucks. I'm gonna,
yeah, way to go, Brakken.
I'm going three-way tie because it's hilarious.
That is such a bad mode. They rectified it, but to even think that that's an appropriate decision, no, that's bad.
I use my platform to speak on it. I will not use my platform to reward them for it. They cannot win for that handling of Steve Hammond. So I've said my piece. Three-way tie is absurd.
FISO's taken home a lot of awards at this rate.
They're still figuring it out. They're figuring it out.
Yeah.
All right, we have now best race battle. Do you want to do this combined? Then we kind of need to get moving here. We have 5 more awards to dish out. So best race battle of the year. I don't. Okay, Jack, you go first.
Okay. All right. I'm gonna go with Stein Legrand versus Gregory Vasilico for first place in Croatia in the Sprint World Championship. Just the two of them going head to head. It involves swimming. We didn't know how good Gregory was going to be at swimming. We didn't know how good Stein was going to be, but just the two of them going at each other, and then came down to who's better at the rigs. Of course, Stein is at this point, and I don't know, just watching that live coverage, it was crystal clear for most of it, and you just saw two of the best in the sport who had won many titles beforehand, just going at it. And first ever Sprint World Champion was Stein at the end of the day, but it was a close battle right till the end.
Good one.
Hate to say it. I think that's the right answer.
Well, BK, you didn't you have one earlier with Nicole and
Yeah, but I'm not even going with that. I'm going for Nicole and Elisa in Abu Dhabi. Yeah. Just watching them stay in contact with each other for a long time in the sand.
80 minutes they were on each other's
It was
head.
fascinating for me to watch. We haven't seen that since Nicole and Lindsay. So I believe Jack's is better because it went all the way through to the finish. But from a historical power standpoint, the sprint just matters less to the sport than the Spartan Race World Championship beast. And so watching those two titans go back and forth in the sand, and Elisa almost getting dropped several times, then eventually cracking Nicole was just spectacular viewing.
We had from Patreon members, Josh Reed versus Eugenio at OCR WC.
Oh yeah.
That was a cool
solid
race to watch.
Just the different styles where Josh is just steady, Eugenio sprints in and out of everything, then walks. But yeah. But Brakken, just to add to your point, that the race where we saw Elisa just basically sitting on Nicole. I don't know if Nicole is just one step in her or just wanted to be slightly ahead. It reminded me of the Olympics where you had Beatrice Tribet just sit on I don't even remember who, Stefan or someone's shoulder, and then it was like 10 minutes left. All right, I'm gonna go and win this race. But no matter what, if a gap started forming, Elisa was going right with Nicole and wasn't gonna let her out of her sight, and then she just took over at the end.
Yeah.
What do we like?
Did you nominate one?
Who's yours, Rich?
I'm taking the Patreon one.
Okay.
No,
Josh,
okay.
I'll go with Jax.
But they didn't battle that long.
That's why I'm going with Jax.
Okay. I'm happy with Jax.
I'll take it. Both of them were fantastic. That would have been my pick if I had to nominate a women's category.
It was a great example of why shorter OCR is the best viewing.
Yeah. And even in the women's race, we already mentioned the Nicole versus Susanna on the rig. Like, that was a great battle. Nicole missed her spears. Susanna took advantage of it. Nicole closed on the rig and ended up with the title.
OCR Breakout Athlete of the Year. These is 2 different awards, male and female. Let's start with the dudes. Who's up? BK?
Bracken.
This one's tough for me. And so Jack's going to be really good at this. So I'm going to take Balin Bean. I'm going to stick with America.
That would have been my pick. But yeah,
I'm going to force you to go international. Well, Balin Bean put a whooping on a really good field. And in hindsight, Ryland's finishing behind Balin is more impressive based off what he did immediately afterwards. And again, visuals matter to me. We've seen so many people run in Seattle. Balin looked every bit the part of what we've seen the champions look like on that terrain in the past. He was aggressive start to finish, even going through rolling mud towards the end of the race and his barbed wire transitions. He was so aggressive. 90 minutes into a race, it was spectacular to watch. It was the comp to watching Hawk and Big Bear.
I think it's a great one.
Let's not forget that he also had a couple National Series podiums in Big Bear, in Utah as well, in addition to his Pan American title or North American.
Yeah, he did. He was a guy just the year before was showing that he can run up with the big boys, but he's not yet one of the big boys.
No.
And suddenly he was the big boy.
He is for sure.
I was in Big Bear, and like, I know he's definitely a smaller guy, but he put on some muscle. I think he's like legitimately taking this seriously at this point, and the results all year showed.
I was hoping Jack was just going to double down on his.
I'm not double down. I learned my lesson. I don't want the bean machine coming after me.
Lean, mean Balin Bean is out here just fueled off Jack Bauer. He's bulletin board material. Jack's like, yeah, still skinny. I don't care.
Was it weak, frail?
Frail is the word.
Frail, is that what you use, Jack?
English isn't my first language. I messed up on that one.
Frail is the word that was
used. Balin Bean elevated himself.
I mean, I think this is the answer. Some other ones we can talk about. Kevin Thompson, he did really well in the domestic scene. I think he won that race that was in the U.S. race, whatever, in Georgia.
How about Brendan Neely elevated himself?
Neely.
Like,
Neely
kind of only really raced in Canada, and then he comes to Seattle, gets second place, and then goes over to Abu Dhabi. Had kind of a rough showing by his standards, but he still had a good day. And the other one that I think Thibaut Jean kind of elevated himself as well.
He did.
Ended up on the podium in Abu Dhabi, third place, and previously
also in Morzine.
Yeah, you're right. The Morzine Ultra Beast, he was second place, so behind Luca Pascolderung. Good season.
I'm keeping it Balin. North America.
Check is in the mail. We need a North American athlete to win an
okra
award
and beans. That's the start of a dish there.
All right. On to the women. Who do we like on the women's side?
Is there only one answer?
What do you have?
Enrique.
No. No.
I mean, yeah, that's a good one.
She ascended to a level that no one else ascended to this year.
Yeah.
Maybe there was a bigger jump from like one tier to the next, but she reached God tier this year. She led the Power 11. She should get that tattooed. I'm interested in Jack's submission here.
It's a hard no.
No, so this woman didn't finish worse, or her worst finish in any event was 5th this year, including second place in the FISO 3K, beating Nicole Miracle. I think Beatrice Moyen Silvestre is the most improved athlete right there. She ended up on the OCR Worlds 15K podium as well. She just came out of nowhere, and like she had raced for a couple years up in Canada, only local. She has a ninja background and was like a 209 800 runner, but she came out of nowhere, to be honest, and took down some big names. Ulrika, we knew about her. She's been racing for 7-8 years. She's been on the Denmark national trail running team. Like, we know she is like who she is. She's been picked very highly in previous years' drafts. Beatrice, she asserted herself. It's very similar to Balin, where it's like we knew he was good, but like how good, and she elevated herself.
It's a good pick.
That's a good one. I think we should nominate Cassandra Gill.
Mm-hmm.
She's cleaning up domestically. Whenever she was at an event, she was a threat for the podium. And Sabrina Dalio.
I had Dalio on my list as well.
Yeah. The other one that I had in mind was Lisa Musakio.
Yeah.
We talked about her a lot. She had a fourth and I think a second place finish in the national series this year. Kind of finally facing big competition.
Yep.
So
that's a good one.
They're actually, but that's promising that there are actually enough names that we can list on the women's side, because usually it's a pretty stagnant category.
All right, who do we like?
I'm going Beatrice.
Going to Rique. Going from never being talked about as a possibility to win a world championship to winning multiple.
But she's she won like the European OCR champs at a previous year. Like, she's good. She's had history.
Yeah. She went from good to great. So that's my vote.
There was a leveling up for sure. She started at a higher level than some of these other athletes that we're talking about.
Alisa also leveled up. She went from podium to winning. Like,
want to nominate her? We can. I'll vote for her.
I'm just playing devil's advocate.
I want to give her all the awards.
Well, I'm not going to change my mind, and you're not going to change yours. So it's up to
Rich. Up to you or the patrons. Let's hear it.
I like the El Ricky one a little bit better.
Beatrice.
Because we saw Beatrice in like just more or less one event do really well.
No, she ended up she got second place in the 15K at Mammoth, and then FISO in Costa Rica she got second place in the 3K. So
Mammoth is like
I know
that's like a regional race.
She beat Rose. She beat some Signy. She beat some solid athletes. I get it.
Mm-mm.
You nominated Aonio for OCR Worlds, by the way. So.
What's that?
Oh, yeah,
that was a Patreon.
That was a Patreon. Okay,
that was Patreon. That was Battle of the Year too.
He takes no responsibility for his submission. It was someone else's.
Last year we had, for sure. Last year for Battle of the Year we had like that random savage race where
Sean and Kempson, right?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So that's a different thing. That's a different thing.
Mm-hmm.
All right, we are here now. We've done it. We've made it to the
getting
OCR.
Another one.
Well, what else did she win? She didn't. Remember, we said we had more later to give her. That's why I had to make a stand here. She didn't win earlier.
She didn't win. Okay, I thought she did win.
She needed one. She couldn't go home empty-handed. All right. Your pick is probably better, but she needed a win.
That's fair. Yeah,
it's like a lifetime achievement for performance of the years where she didn't get nominated, so we gave it to Alyssa instead.
And she didn't get upset of the year either, which she could have got, but Alyssa got.
Alyssa that was her year. Come on. All right, we've done it. OCR Athlete of the Year, the Hobie Call Award, male and female award. Who do we want to start with? Let's start with the dudes. Am I up?
Sure.
I'm up. I'm going with our guy, Gregory Basilico. Finishing super strong. Had an amazing year. He wasn't at the top of our rankings all year because of how segmented this season was and how there's a gazillion championships and some of them are a little bit out of his wheelhouse. But when it came down to the Spartan stuff, like he's just there and is just.
He did the team race in Alula, so like that didn't have a whole lot of weight. He didn't really do Spartan championships until Croatia, and that was like late in the season. So we just saw him at local races. We knew what he was doing, but it's like some of these other guys have just better credentials so far.
He's just so fit. I like that. I like that he has a high level of fitness, and that's who I'm going with.
Yeah. If you had to send one person out at a Spartan race of any sort to bet your life on, you'd pick him probably. And I don't know if we could say anything higher about anyone else. You'd have to match someone to a race outside of that, but just put him on almost any OCR course and he's He's the odds-on favorite right now.
BK, who do you like?
Do I have to submit someone else?
You want to pass?
I've got a compelling argument on the other side if you want.
Let me hear yours first.
Okay. So my other pick is Stein LeGrand.
That's the other person I had on here. Yeah.
Yeah. I think those are the two. If you're looking at head-to-head matchups, Gregory is 2-1 head-to-head against him. So I think he has had the better season. And one of those ended up being in the Dubai World Obstacle Championship. But that kind of proved that Gregory can do some more technical obstacles instead of just being a one-trick pony for Spartan, which I think helped him. But if we look at who Stein ended up taking down in Croatia, remember that battle, the two of them, Stein ended up being fitter there. He ended up winning the 3K championship in Costa Rica for FISO, and then second place in the 13K. And then the European regional championship in Italy, he swept both of those, the short course and the long course event. He got second place in the 5K at the Dubai World. I know that doesn't matter, but it helps the head-to-head record. But if we look at titles, he's got European and multiple world championships right there. So pretty solid.
So I think Stein had the best all-around season, and he was the second best male athlete on the planet. But he's just not the best right now. And we saw them on courses that should have maybe favored Stein. A week after Basilico went to the well for hours in the desert, and he still pulled it off. So I just think he's a notch better than everyone, but it takes nothing away from Stein's season, which was spectacular.
Yeah. Gregory ended up winning the 2-person team with Thibaut Jean and Alula, and Stein ended up winning the 4-person. So we didn't get to see that head-to-head battle. I know it's different. You're reliant on your team members there. But if we're looking at my favorite thing, percent of winner, doesn't matter what race showed up. Gregory Basilico was 99.2. Stein was 98.9. So Gregory is a little bit closer, all things considered. And all races, Gregory's average place was 1.6. Stein was 2.4. So I'm going with Gregory. He's had a better season. He's consistently just a little bit closer to the front no matter who shows up. So that's why he's the best athlete on the planet now.
And I'm going to say John Albin.
The thing Gregory is almost, it's like this is kind of like a lifetime achievement award at this point, because he did not win last year. Our guy VJ Jones won, where you could have easily had him in there. So I don't know. What's the best championship of the year? That's like its own stupid category. We should have.
It's a whole show.
Champion of the year for OCR. World champion of the year.
Those are our 9 categories.
We might have to do an episode just ranking the world championships in importance right now.
I think we should, because that will, well, that's so we can figure out what we want to talk about. I think is what we should do.
So John Albin had a 100% of winner this year and an average finish position of 1.000, repeating to infinity. So just for the stats.
Yeah.
For the stat people out there.
Let it be
I'm also going Gregory here.
As
Gregory. Got to win something.
But pronounced John Albin.
Oh.
All right, on to the ladies.
Brakken, you passed. You can go first.
All right. Probably not what you're expecting, since I know you're all going to vote for someone else anyway. So Elisa Petrova.
Oh.
This is her year.
This is the year of the Elisa. From start to finish. She capped it off with the 2 probably biggest, most important races of the season. She won them both. And then in the middle, she also did a lot of winning. So it's her.
Fair, but Elisa made a very convenient excuse to get her visa denied, so she couldn't face Nicole head-to-head in Trifecta World Championship, where Nicole ended up sweeping. A month before that, she ended up winning the regional championship beast. She got second place in Abu Dhabi later on. Elisa only ran 1 Spartan race the whole year. And if we're looking at some of the other races that they did over the course of the season, you had an average place of 1.6 for both of them. So virtually identical. And their percent of winner is 98.8 each. So in my opinion, they're actually...
Should we have a tie?
This is worthy of a tie.
Let me nominate mine so we can have a 3-way.
Okay. This is pretty good. I'm telling you, it's closer. But
it is close.
The diminishing or the separating factors, Nicole lost 4 times to Elisa, and she only beat her twice. So head-to-head record, Elisa's got the edge.
the only other person I'm just want to chime in on here, but for the sake of the nominees for the records, I think Ulrike Evanson should have a nomination here for Athlete of the Year. But back to that point for Nicole versus Alyssa, I think that the head-to-head is very important. I think that is I would lean Alyssa here, but Alyssa beat Nicole twice on her terrain, right?
Mm-hmm.
If Alyssa made it to, let's just say OCR
Trifecta.
Trifecta, I don't know. Like she may have been able to beat her at Trifecta, but she's not beating her at Mammoth.
Yeah, I don't know. It's not like she didn't set up the race. She's racing where Spartan put on the race. She moved. She's not from there. She moved there.
She doesn't live in a jungle. She did pretty well in Costa Rica.
Yeah. I mean, my point is like saying no one got punished for being good at altitude when Spartan was at altitude. Everyone moved to Colorado.
That's fine.
She has decided to follow the sport. So she's good at this because it's there, but who's to say she's not going to go win everything else if they go somewhere else? She might go back to Russia or Kazakhstan and train in the mountains again. Like, I don't think we can punish her for where they hold it. The other people can say, yeah, I'd be better if, but you can't take it away from the person who is good. It's a good point.
Yeah. How great is it though that we saw them go head to head 6 times and they live on different continents? Like
that's pretty cool.
We're spoiled with that. That's pretty awesome.
Nicole, I don't think has got enough credit in her comeback for her willingness to race and to travel. It's as an injured person, it's not an easy thing to do to put yourself right back out there. And she's not just putting herself back out there. She's putting herself everywhere and several times in the exact conditions where she hurt herself in the first place. So I think she deserves credit for that. But if the stats are same percent of winner, same average finish, 4-2 head to head, the 4 gets it.
That's the only differentiating factor right there.
Yeah. And two of the
reason will prevail.
And both of them did obstacle proficiency courses. Both of them did Spartan style courses. So it's not like you're comparing apples to oranges. They went head to head a lot of times. One of them had, if it was 3-3 head to head record, we might legitimately need a tie. But I think Elisa also had more outstanding performances. It's like Nicole ended up getting a title in OCR Worlds, but she couldn't pull it off in Alula, where that was just, or FISA, exactly.
To Rich's point, though, I think if it's an old school Spartan season and world championships are over here, I think Nicole's 4-2. You know, I do think that's a thing, but we can't play what if. We can only vote on what happened.
Yep.
I agree. I'm going to vote for Alyssa on here. Third Okra.
Jeez.
Unbelievable.
She may have won. Has she won any in the past? I thought that she won like the breakthrough athlete or something. Yeah, she won the best OCR award last year for athletes from the rest of the world category.
Now, if that's not egocentric,
that right there,
I don't know what is.
That is.
We were unhinged.
On our,
we were unhinged on Okra. We were high on Okras. We had too much time to play with last year.
Yeah, just
fill in space with whatever we wanted to. So good for us.
Yep.
Flexing like that with awards that are just way too long. Anything else? That's really it. We had a comment here. We did not mention Lauren Weeks' performance at Utah, which was pretty awesome. One. That is definitely a good one.
It was.
We're honorable mention there. Any other honorable mentions of the season that we want to touch on?
I don't know. I feel like we
I'd like to. I think Morzine deserves a little more love. Lucas Pascalderon, Thibaut Jean.
We didn't really
people out there just really had a great performance, and on a brutal course, Luca put it down in the second half of that race, and that was a massive performance. He's on my list for a potential performance of the year for that one. We didn't really talk about him much.
Yeah, should we do best range, like all around range for this show versus the other one? Just because, like, we're not really going to talk OCR the hybrid show. Like, I think Lauren wins it hands down with her performance in Utah. That would be my pick right there. And
does hybrid count?
Alyssa wins again.
Yeah.
Does hybrid count in best range? She only ran one race.
Hybrid don't.
Well, I thought
her range was beast to beast.
We're separated now. Yep.
Okay.
We're different.
I'm a Lauren stan, but she only ran one race. That's not range.
It's true.
Yeah. We know her range.
Not impressed anymore.
But hybrid doesn't exist in this universe.
That's right.
This is hybrid's not canon.
No more awards.
All right, that'll finish us up. Another year of OCR in the books. We will be back in the next couple of weeks to talk about the best championships ranked and to update our all-time rankings. Where did BK end up? How many positions did Brakken move up this year?
Up.
Stay tuned. Make sure
That
you're
458 mile.
subscribed.
Like up in number from 17 to 20.
Up the charts. BK just continues to climb year over year. We're going to take a quick break, and then we're going to pop back on with Matt Mason, and we're going to talk about hybrid awards. And again, there's going to be a brand new feed for your podcast listening for Brain HYROX Rundown, where it's all HYROX stuff just there, so we can separate those two. So if you want to listen to this on podcast, check it out there. See ya.